class. And we only have a single entry, so we're waiting for that heifer to come into the ring. So it looks like we have a couple classes of prospect heifers, and then we'll move into prospect steers.
Good morning, I'm Bill Work here, gonna walk you through this prospect heifer show. We got KILE Berkheimer coming in here. I visited with them in the stalls just a little bit ago. They got a mini Hereford heifer coming in here that have had some success doing that over the years. I think that we talked about some of the bloodlines back in the stall, and coming out of some real rural blood. The mother was reserve champion at Junior Nationals and reserve in Denver. We'll be making our way up here for a single entry to start the show, but we're looking forward for a couple more classes of these. Then we'll roll into the steers, the farm show prospects, and then the market steer show. Looks like we're going to have a nice lineup of cattle. There's been a lot of these cattle been shown throughout the year with a lot of success, so I'm excited to walk through these with you guys as we work through the show and see what they bring. So we'll be back here just a couple minutes as they bring in our first entry to the heifer show. Just an update in our show before we begin. We're going to go through the prospect show, and at the end of each show we are going to switch the links into each show. So if you are following along today, you will have to switch the links through the duration of the day. We'll remind you at the end of the show here, it's not going to be a very long show, but if you're following along with us, we want you to be able to see all the feeds as they come in live. So follow along, and like I said, they should be beginning here momentarily, and look forward to working through these with you. Okay, here we go, the start of the show.
For those of you ringside, we are now starting our prospect heifer show. First in the ring is KILE Berkheimer, exhibit number 2078. This heifer is weighing 445 pounds.
Check out this little single entry here, little miniature Hereford. They got her fit to the nines. It'd be interesting to see what he does with her as we work through the heifer show. Ultra competitive little heifer here. Young man's doing a good job getting her set up, walked right into it. Be interesting to see the comments here.
Just one in this class, but a really, really nice way to start the Prospect Heifer Show. And this young man really brought in a really, really well-built one. She's really stout up and over top. She's really, really wide-based. And, you know, she's sound. She's good in her angles, got the right angles off both ends. Really, really admire how this one comes in from the top of her blade, comes up into that neck, blends into her heart girth really well. Beautiful hip in her. And I think, young man, you got a really, really good one that has a lot of future in front of her. So a really, really nice way to start. And this one could stand a lot more competition in this class.
Results of Class 1. First went to Carly Berkheimer. Entry number 2078 with a heifer weighing 445. That will also be your champion lightweight prospect heifer. Into the ring at this time, we are looking for junior prospect heifers weighing 600 to 655 pounds. We should have 2 entries.
All right, going to take a little weight jump here as we move on in. Got a nice socked heifer coming in. Cameron Haynes, 600-pound heifer here, and I've got a red heifer here following. It's always unique in these shows. You could get a variation of builds and types and colors into the crossbreds. Two nice individual heifers here. You can see a lot of variations when you get into this because breeders can kind of prioritize what they like, and there's always debate on the heifers, how much muscle and how much femininity they need, and these tend to be a little bit more masculine than maybe some of the breeding type females that we'll see in some of the other shows. It's a fun time of year to start showing these cattle too. They're starting to put on their winter coats, and you can really get to fitting on them and painting, and so far everyone's done a real nice job presenting these. Young people do an excellent job showing. It's always exciting. A lot of this is probably some of these calves' first time out, as we're right in the middle, towards the end, maybe a sales season for these prospects. They're just starting to hit the show road for the year. So it's always exciting to see how you're going to get along. You'll probably see a lot of the same competition throughout the year, so people get eager to get out and see where they stand. And you still have time to get some more. Anxious to see what he's going to do here. Kind of two different types of heifers here. Got one a little bit more moderate put together. One maybe a little bigger and stouter, opened up a little bit behind her blade. But like I said, you are going to see a little bit more variation, I would think, in these crossbred prospect type shows. Makes it a little tough in a large ring like this when you don't have a lot of cattle in there, and especially, like I said, maybe being the first time out. This is good practice for the season. They get a little antsy. It's hard to get them parked when you don't have a ring full of them.
This is a really, really nice class, and of course we've got some real differences here. I'm going to leave them just the way they came in. You know, and you can really make that judgment call if you want a little more maternal, you want a little bit more terminal. The heifer that I started off the class with, extremely flexible on the move. You really got to like the angles to this female. She's really good in through her center body. The mass and volume and spring that she's got is really, really impressive. Gives you a great look. She's really extended up in through that neck, really good in her chest floor. And I think one that'll mature will out really, really well. Getting our second place female, I mean, she does have advantages as far as bone and stoutness and hip and top. I mean, if you're wanting a market heifer, this one I think really does that in spades. You know, with all that mass and bone, she's pretty flexible when she gets around and she takes a nice stride. Her angles are good, not quite as much rib shape, you know, if you're looking more for a breeding type heifer like that first heifer, but one that gives you a really good look. Big, bold, and expressive up through that turnover in her loin and in through that hip. So I think a really good one, and I think she's got a big future as a market heifer here. Congratulations, young man.
Congratulations to Class 2 exhibitor Devontae Rarick was first, and your champion middleweight prospect heifer. And reserve went to Cameron Haynes with his heifer weighing 600 pounds. Into the ring at this time we have Class 3. We have 3 entries. Heifers in this class are ranging between 715 and 830 pounds. At the conclusion of this class, we will be selecting our champion and reserve champion prospect heifer, as the winning heifer in this class will be your champion heavyweight.
All right, back in here ringside, got another nice class of heifers. Got 3 in this class. A little more breed type heifers, got a little bit more size to them. Like I said, we were speaking earlier, there's a lot of differences of type and kind when you get into these shows, and our judge is doing a very good job of analyzing what he sees and explaining his priorities, which is whichever judge likes to do, to get out there and show their take on cattle, which is fun. Week to week, you can move up and down the line, maybe more so than ever. You know, don't get too high on your highs or lows on your lows. It seems like with different opinions nowadays, you can go up and down. Got some breedy type females in this class, and one a little stouter there coming in the ring second. Got a nice young exhibitor leading that baldy heifer around, coming out there. Heifer coming out second, has a really nice look from the side, pretty stout from the behind. All these cattle today have been highly presented. Coming up showing, I did a lot of fitting myself. I always like to comment on that. It takes a lot of patience and time and work from the families to get them to stand still to cooperate, so it's should be commendable. Definitely going to have some variations. I'd be interested to bring in our first 2 classes, even though our first class was a single entry. There is a sale this evening here if you're in the market yet for a calf. I believe that the prospects showed yesterday. They will have a club calf sale here this evening if you're in the area. Very interesting class here. I would say that there's really no pair in this class. They're all kind of different types and kinds. May give us some foreshadowing for our other shows, which direction our judge is kind of leading towards, where he puts his priorities. Got a real breedy female out there in the standing in the one closest to us, the baldy female. Maybe a combination heifer there in the 2-hole of broodiness and stoutness, and he's taking his time as he makes his selection. see what he has to say.
I think a real interesting class here, and we can pull that class winner out. And I think the heifer that's really that balances up as well as any in the class. I mean, she's really flexible in the move. You love her center body. She really gives you a lot of spring. She's really elegant up in through that front end, great in her chest floor. I think one that has a real world of future about her. She's got lots of scale to her, but she balances up really, really well. You love her angle. She's got ample bone. She's great in through that hip, and I think one that you can really gravitate to. So a great way to start off this class. Then we get into the heifer that I think follows her the most in type and kind when we start to balance up this class. I think this is one that's a little bit greener right now, but she's built a lot like our class winner. She's really expansive in through her center body. She gives you a lot of spring. She's really nice in her hip. I mean, our class winner has advantages. When you get on top of this female, from her blade, from her heart, her blade in through her shoulder, she's just not quite as full, as expanded there as our class winner. But a heifer, when you get from a distance, she's really, really elegant up front and really gives you a great silhouette. Real sound female here as well. Get into our third place calf here. I think one that you love the bone and power. I mean, she is the biggest top, boldest hipped heifer in the class. She maybe has some disadvantages as far as spring a rib when you get in from the side, but a female that you love that hip, you love that bone. Gives you a great, great look from that neck in through that chest floor. She's extremely good there. She's maybe just a touch bolder in her blade when you get up over her shoulder in through her heart. She's a touch bold when you get in there. Female that you'd explode her out just a touch down low, but a female that I think really, really from a big bone power perspective, she really does that really, really well.
Results of your heavyweight division is as follows. First was awarded to Ella Petranton. Second went to Carly Berkheimer, and third to Sydney Skinner. We are now going to let them walk around, and we're going to go ahead and select our champion and reserve champion prospect heifer at this time. From Class 1, your lightweight champion division winner was Carly Berkheimer, and this heifer was weighing 445 pounds. Your middleweight division winner was Devontae Rarick with a heifer weighing 655 pounds. And from our last class was Ella Petranton with a heifer weighing 830 pounds. Your reserve divisions are as follows. Your reserve middleweight is exhibited by Cameron Haynes, and your reserve heavyweight is exhibited by Carly Berkheimer. At the conclusion of this show, we will move into our prospect steers. So we're looking for all prospect steers to be in the makeup area at this time.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out here. We definitely have 3 different type and kinds out in front of us. It can happen when you have a smaller entry show. Don't get quite enough cattle in front of you to maybe sort down to get very consistent. I've seen that happen several times. You have to judge what's brought in front of you. Last class was interesting. I think there's definitely priorities that you have to keep in mind when sorting a class like that. And our judge has made his selection. But the 3's got outs. Really nice here in front of us.
I think a really, really nice division here. You know, the prospect heifers, it wasn't, there wasn't a whole ton of numbers in it, but we really, really got some quality that came to the front of these classes. And I think when you get in behind these heifers, there's some real high quality back there as well. And I think heifers that have a lot of expansion in through their center bodies, they transition really well through their blade. That heart girth up in through that neck comes out really high. They're good in their chest, but they're sound, they're functional, they're complete, and I think some really, really nice females out here. I'll go out and select a couple that I think really rise to the top in my mind, but congratulations, this was a really, really nice division as far as quality.
Looks like he's gravitating towards our heavyweight, so there is the champion there with entry 5006, biggest female in the class. And looks like the reserve went to the middleweight. Excellent heifer show. I guess we're going to roll right into our prospect steer show. You're starting with some lighter calves here, starting weight-wise at 315 pounds, all the way to 455 pounds.
Your champion prospect heifer was exhibited by Ella Petrenton. And your reserve champion prospect heifer was exhibited by Devontae Rarick. We now moved into our okay. We're now ready for our junior prospect steer class 1. We have 4 entries. These prospect steers are weighing 315 to 455 pounds. Again, 315 to 455. 4 head.
Starting out here in our prospect show, all our entries have made it into the ring. It's interesting how you can sort a prospect show. You can look into the future and pick the one you like. You can pick the one you like for today. Each judge kind of has their different method they like to do it. They can either read down to the future and how maybe they like to see them, or who's most ready today. That's certainly the judge's preference. But have a lot of variation, not only in color in this class, but size and maturity, it looks like, just in this first class alone. But an excellent way to get these cattle out here. Like I said before in our heifer show, the more times you get to the ring, the easier your project's going to be throughout the year. And for such young cattle, they seem to be handling the ring very well. I think it helps when you get a few more head in the class like this one particularly. Really like this steer here on the end, showing a lot of muscle, getting around the ring fairly well from where I can see here. Got a lot of look to that calf. I wish we had a little insight on some of the pedigrees. I did do a little bit of research on some of the steers coming in later on today to discuss them, but these calves are new on the scene and kind of scattered about the barn. I was trying to find some to discuss today, but a little tricky finding them. They're all tucked in all over. A lot of cattle here this year at the Keystone. It's been a couple years since I've been here. It looks like it's alive and well. Yep, that's the one I like. That's selection there. And then get down here through some of these younger type cattle. See, like we were discussing earlier, you can go kind of all over the board. You pick the largest one in the class, then the smallest one in the class. Looking up makeup and future and personal preference. So, like I said, it's always exciting to see how these shows get sorted. Here we come with some comments.
Little more variation when you get into the first class of prospect steers, but you really generally get that when you get into these first weight classes because they encompass such a wide scope of weights. But I think a calf that really rises to the top pretty handily for me. I mean, I love the structure and type. I mean, this guy gets out and moves really well, but he's good boned. He's stout over that top, great in through that hip, transitions well from that heart into that shoulder and blade, and gives you a good chest and look. And I think one that's sound to make the long haul, and I think a really good calf. Getting the second calf, and I think this is one that you know, time is going to be this calf's friend, and when you look in this class, yeah, he gets outpowered and outweighted by quite a bit, but when you really get looking at the structure and type and potential down the road, I think as this calf matures, he's got a degree more bone. I think he's going to have more top and more muscle than the calves that stood in behind him. So I think one that time is really going to be your calf's friend, and I think whether you hold over or what have you, I think that one's built really, really good. He's sound, and he does have some potential. Yeah, he's given up some weight and power now, but he's built really, really good. Then we use the shorthorn calf here, marked calf coming in next. Love the depth of body, and you've got a sound calf. So I mean, he's built for the long haul. You know, he'll make it to the end as far as a soundness perspective. Probably just not quite the muscle and explosive power in through the hip that what a couple of calves above him will have, and you just give him a shot more muscle, but he's really sound and has the potential to really make the long haul. Likewise with the next calf, I think he's really sound. You just give him a shot more, widen out that base, pull that body apart a little bit more to add an extra shot of muscle shape to him, but a good sound type of a calf that'll make it to the end.
Results of your show Class 1 prospect steers. First was awarded to Macy Flesler. Second to Bailey Little. Third to Kenzie Peisel. And fourth to Addison Harlan. Into the ring at this time comes show Class 2 prospect steers. We have four entries in this class. These steers are weighing 480 to 515 pounds. At the conclusion of this class, we will be selecting your champion and reserve champion lightweight prospect steer.
Moving in to the next class here as we start tightening up in the weight variation. We're still in the lightweights here, but they're starting to tighten up. Looks like the competition's heating up as well. Looks like there's some really nice stout calves there, you know, weighing in at 500 pounds is definitely doable for a summertime show. So those calves are on track, you know, maybe later into the summer for next year, or maybe they're a little greener and they could still make state fair type calves. Definitely variation in this class, but there's gonna be kind of a little tight race to win here. You'll probably hear me talk about it all day, but the smoke colored scene and the hair that we're able to put on these things genetically has definitely changed over my career. They used to all kind of be slick cattle. They were always good feeding cattle. We just could never get them hairy, and now it seems we can, and there's all different variations of color. When you refer to these smoke type calves, are very popular. Myself, I've been always fond to kind of the black and white ones. They're certainly flashy when they hit the ring. A little more work at home keeping them clean all winter long as time marches on, but and then of course we got a black one here that's always going to be a player as far as color patterns have changed with these cattle. A lot of breed variations along with the steers too. On these weekend jackpot type shows, you could show a lot of different breeds, get along that way prior to the top 5. A lot of the breed steers now can make the top 5. Even the purebred steers have gotten very competitive. They can make the top 5. Coming here on the profile, this calf standing in the 1 hole seems to be pretty relaxed. Got one here fighting a halter, just a nickel in the 2 hole for now. Could be frustrating as a showman when you get these young calves out here that just haven't had enough ring time yet. A lot going on with these calves, all being probably weaned around, you know, as early as the 1st of July and being drugged maybe to multiple shows by now, but they're not very old. So there's got a lot of learning to do, and getting them in the ring is the way to do it. Definitely a lot of variation in this class. You know, these top 3 steers here carrying a lot of muscle. Gentleman's steer in the end, got a real nice pattern to him. There's some with a little more thickness. There's some that look a little better on the profile. I think he's going to leave them the way they came in. That's class winning steer came in. I thought he might be tough to beat. He looked really good coming down. You know, as soon as he hit the ring, sometimes some of them just have that presence. I don't disagree there. It's kind of a easy lineup, keep them the way they came in.
I think a nice class when he got into this next division in the prospect steers and a little tighter weight range, and I think there's a bit of a give and take and on these calves, and you can split some hairs on this 1 and 2 calf, and for me I went with the soundness perspective as of today. I think this calf's the best moving one in the class. He's got ample bone. He's good over his hip, and I mean is he as good in his chest floor and as cool necked as the second place calf? No, he's not. Maybe not quite as explosive as him, but he's really ample. But a calf that's really sound, and I think really built for the long haul. And I think this one, as he matures and gets closer to an end point, I think he'll be a really sound, good, easy feeding type of a steer that'll give you some look and have some top and presence about him. The calf that's the most explosive in the class is the one coming next. I mean, he is the best looking one up in through that neck. He's the best one in his chest floor. Love how pulled apart and wide he is. Just for me today, I think I'd like him a little more comfortable off his rears. He gets a little rigid in his hock in the move, and some of that could be he's really trying to fight the halter. But if that calf, as he gets a little later into his end point, if he's free on them rears, I think that's a really good one, because he's the most explosive, widest base, biggest top, best looking one in the class. You just free him up a little bit on them rears and have him handle them with a little more authority for today, but a really good one. Then we get into the tan calf here next. I think just a good, sound, stout, easy feeding kind of a calf. Maybe just not quite as much of the bells and whistles as far as that cool look and chest floor and explosive muscle and bone in him. But I think one that's just a soft, sound, easy feeding type of a steer. Then we get into the black calf that's coming in. He's really sound and gives you a really good look. You just give him you'd pull him apart and give him a little more bone, a little bit more muscle, and just terminal him up a bit. But a calf that I think from a soundness perspective, he does that really well. You just give him more bone and explosiveness in through that muscle and top.
Results of Steer Prospect Show Class 2 is as follows. First went to KILE Lippert, second to Trevor Hahn, third to Luke Mower, and fourth to Samuel Hossman. Into the ring at this time, we are going to select our champion and reserve champion lightweight steers. From Class 1, we need Macy Fesslers with her steer weighing 455, and Kayla Lippert from Class 2 with her steer weighing 480.
Bring these cattle back
I'm too fast.
From our last couple
okay.
classes here. Trying to work from memory, I would say our last class winner would be in contention for sure for this particular division, as we took quite a weight jump. Even though her Class 1's a really nice balanced calf, got really good angles on him. He's attractive, just a little green yet. The one from our Class 2 is definitely a little denser type of calf, carrying a little more muscle and condition, I would see. And we're going to bring our second places back out. We had that real lightweight calf out of our first class, just had a nice look that our judge selected for second. And then we talked about the young man bringing this calf out, fighting a halter a little bit today.
So again, your first places weigh 455 pounds and 515 pounds. In second place, we have Bailey Little. Her steer weighs 315. And from Class 2, we have Trevor Hahn with a steer weighing 505.
It would be a little tough to leave the white-legged one standing, but we'll see. He's definitely fighting the halter. Sometimes this time of year, those calves get a little sore.
I think a really nice division here in these lightweight prospect steers, and I think, we get these two steers out that come out of their classes. They're sound, they're well built, and I think we got the calf, the black calf in front. We're going to use him for our division. I think the little extra bells and whistles of just how good he is in his chest floor gives you a great look in through his neck. He really transitions exceptionally well from that heart girth in through that shoulder blade coming through. He's good hipped, he's sound, he's stout and wide based. I think you know, he's a really nice division winner for us here. So young lady, you can just pull him up. Then our reserve, we're going to go with the gray steer here out of the second class. I think he follows him the most as far as type and kind. He's sound. He's going to be a really good feeding steer, just not quite the cleanliness and cleanness through that chest floor and his nice neck as our division winner, but I think a really good, sound, easy feeding one. So congratulations to these two. Black Calf first class will be our division winner, and the smoke will be our reserve.
Hey, elected to go with a calf that's maybe a little bit more angular. Seemed to fit his needs a little better.
Your champion lightweight steer was exhibited by Macy Fessler and weighed in at 455. Casey Lippert had your reserve. We are now ready to move into our middleweight division. We are looking for the following exhibitors into the ring. We should have Catherine Miller, Carly Bankert, Luke Maurer. These three steers weighed in between 530 and 540 pounds. Again, 3 entries in Class 3 weighing 530, 535. Oh, I apologize. It did go over to the next page. We have 5 steers in this class weighing 530 to 550. Again, 5 steers, 530 to 550.
See a lot of shows now that, like I've spoken on a couple times today, with the variation, running 2 rings. I know last year we showed at a couple that you could be class winner and 5th in the other ring, so it does give you 2 different perspectives in one day, but sometimes you only get one shot at it. So really sound, nice black calf that came in here. I was looking the other direction as our cattle made it into the ring here. I tell you what, pretty nice set of steers that we've seen so far. All useful type cattle. Starting into the next division here, because 2 classes here up to 600 pounds. Gonna walk these. Seems like our judge is prioritizing a little bit more of angularity and cleanliness through that front 1/3, and maybe not leaning so much on the power side. You'll probably like this calf here. 2581. Lane Brenzen. That seems to resemble our last division champion from the ones that we have in front of us. It might get a little tighter there in the middle of the pack. Glad I'm not sorting them. It makes it tough sometimes when you're judging, you know. You just put your priorities the best you can, and sooner or later you have to make a decision. When it gets tough, try to explain that the best you can and move on from it. Definitely a lot of variation in this particular class. I thought initially that I sorted them a little different. You get them here on the profile, give you some differences as well. Young lady trying to get her pulled back in here into the profile. I haven't seen the red one parked yet. Just kind of thought he would like that one there pulling out in first. That's a real stylish calf. Really gets around the ring really nice. Young lady still trying to get her calf set up here on the profile. think he's waiting as well just to make his final selection. Judges can be a little bit more patient this time of year. It's hard to get these cattle set up, and it's fight and holler a little bit, and he's made up his mind, and he elected to go with the next black calf. Next one's into contention here. Definitely likes the cattle with a really good, strong outline. He has in his mind what he likes to see and sticking with it. Nice class.
I think a really, really nice calf that we started off this class with, and I think one that rises to the top here pretty comfortably for me. I like how sound he is. He gives you a great look. He's good in that chest floor. He's pulled apart up in over through that top and that hip. He transitions really well into that blade. I mean, you'd clean him up a touch in that underline and stouten out that bone and hind leg just a touch. But, you know, he's sound, he's good looking, and he's pulled apart. And I think he really rises into this class pretty well. Getting to our second 2 and 3 is a little bit of a judgment call for me, and I decided to go with the calf in second here that really gives you a great look, and he's really, really built well. He's sound. He transitions really great up in through that forerib. He's a calf that you would just pull him apart a little and give him a shot more muscle and bone and power. But if he progresses into that, I think he's built really, really good and sound and gives you a great look that he could be a really nice fat. The calf that's a little more explosive is his third place calf, and you know he does have some advantages as far as bone and muscle shape over our second place calf. It's just when you set him in motion, he's not quite as comfortable off of both ends, and he'll come apart a little bit when you get in the stand. I mean, he'll pop that top and doesn't transition quite as well from that heart girth into that blade, and he'll just pull apart a little bit. But from a bone and power perspective, he's really good there. Then we get into the next calf. I mean, he's really, really fancy. I mean, he gives you a tremendous look in through that neck, and that chest floor is really, really good. And he's got enough top in him. I would just like to soften that dude up some, and he gets a touch straight off that front end in through that shoulder to get a little bit higher today, but he sure gives you a good look. And young lady, rounding out, you've got a really good calf. I think this calf has a lot of potential. I think he's got lots of muscle shape to him. He's really sound, and he gives you a really good look. And I think as you progress as far as a presentation standpoint, you know, take a look around and you know, I really think you've got a really, really good calf there that has a lot of potential. So, you know, I think as you progress down the road closer to a fat, I think you're going to be really, really happy with this calf.
Results of Class 3 is as follows. Congratulations to Lane Bernice. Had first. Second was awarded to Luke Maurer. Third to Emily Vance. Fourth to Catherine Miller. And fifth to Carly Bankert. Into the ring at this time, we have Class 4. We have 5 entries in this class. Steers are weighing 570 to 600 pounds.
Yeah, regarding that last class, super competitive class all the way down to our last one, just as a judge commented in there. I really like that calf as well. I think she's got some potential down the road all the way through that class. Moving into this class, got a Highland steer, at least a Highland appearing steer in this prospect show. It's got some shape to it. Pretty exciting stuff here. Not sure I've seen one in a prospect show before. At least not that competitive for sure. Calf looks very competitive. This is looks like a real strong class here. A lot of similarities in this class. You're going to have to get probably pretty particular in sorting this. I certainly can't see what I need to see from my distance, but I followed along with our judge very well today. But for sure, a very tight class here. Getting up in weight here. These calves seem to be getting bigger and bigger, even in these earlier prospect type shows. I think we're calving earlier as these steers are wanting to be shown as more mature and denser boned as maybe we were accustomed to prior. But certainly 600 pounds makes a lot of county fairs, and you've got a lot of variation at your end point still with this. I mean, there's still some pretty green 600 pounders in this class. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what he does with our Highland calf here. Very correct type steer. Very sound moving. A lot of similarities in our black calves here. A little Brockle calf coming around here. Got a big old hip in that one. He's definitely been prioritizing some more balance than overall muscle as we've watched him short today, which is tricky. I think you can have difference of opinion on time of year. Maybe more at an end point you can get a little bit more critical, at least in my opinion, on muscle. I think that's, you know, we're raising beef. They should be muscular. But during these prospect type shows, you can definitely prioritize the attractiveness, the squareness, the soundness, things that make these cattle different. They're getting so good anymore, you have to get very critical on these cattle to separate them. Certainly an interesting class here. Just taking some time on that calf there in the number 2 hole currently. Nice center-bodied calf there, showing some muscle. Maybe a little bit more cresty, if you will, on his profile look. Then you have not getting a very good angle on our Highland steer. Gonna go with that one. Calf standing there. Yep, thought he'd go that way. He kind of went with the muscle pattern this time a little bit more. Going right in there for third as our Highland. They got 2 really nice pattern steers here coming out at the end. Just giving up a lot of shape maybe from our class winner. But they're young. They got time to go. Nice fronted type cattle. Certainly nothing wrong with them. But yeah, there was a little variation than we saw in the last class. He did elect to go with a little bit stouter calf. Be interested when he has to say about this group.
Interesting class with a touch more variation, and I went with the calf that, to me, he's the most explosive muscled calf in the class. I mean, he's really bowled up in over that hip and gives you a real big top in him. He gets out and moves adequate. You know, he does have a little extra shoulder, and that comes with that extra shot of muscle. I mean, he's really explosive in through that lower quarter. You know, he doesn't transition quite as well from that heart girth into that shoulder as maybe some of the last class winners, but from a muscle perspective, he's huge hipped, he's huge topped, and really explosive in through that lower quarter. He's good in his leg angles, and he does give you a good look up in through that neck. So I think an explosive calf that comes in to lead off this class. Then we go at the longer, really nice necked calf here. When he gets parked and from the side, he's really good looking. He's long-sided, really extended up in through that neck. He's really good in through that chest floor. He's good up in over his top. He's just not quite as soft in that lower quarter when you get through, and as explosive as our class winner, but a calf that really profiles well. Then we've got an extremely sound, easy-doing type of a calf here in third. I mean, he's as sound as they come. He really moves, lots of depth aside, you know, and he's really good up in through that top line when he gets through, and I think a really good one. You just pull him apart a little bit from a width and muscle perspective, but one that's built extremely well, and I think, you know, you can't pick a lot of holes in this calf from a structure standpoint, and I really like that about him. Then we get into a calf next that I think has some really neat pieces. I mean, he's really good looking. He's good into that chest floor, and he's sound. You just put him, balance him up a little bit more, give him a little more shot of muscle in through that top and that lower quarter. But I think one from a balance and soundness perspective follows in pretty nice. Then you get a real elevated calf that's coming in next. I mean, he's extremely good in through that neck and that chest floor, really long-sided. You just got to soften him up in the center of his body to be a little bit easier feeding kind of a calf, but he sure gives you a great look, and he's really long-sided.
Results of Class 4 prospect steers. First to Mackenzie Healer. Second to Gavin Woomer. Third to Ashlyn Morelli. Fourth to Haven Elslinger. and 5th to Kaylin Hahn. We are now ready to select your champion and reserve champion middleweight steer. We are looking from Lane Bernice from Class 3 with a steer weighing 550, and Mackenzie Haler with her steer weighing 585. In contention for reserve, we have Luke Maurer with a steer weighing 540, and from our last class, Gavin Woomer with a steer weighing 600. At the conclusion of our middleweight division, we will move into our heavyweight steer classes.
Bringing in all our middleweights in here for contention. It's nice to see when you can definitely see a pattern now that our judges selecting when you narrow it down with a little more head in this particular division. We've seen some different variations, but you can see the type and kind are now tightening up. I wasn't close enough, but I would say he did vary a little bit in that last class, which he could have went either way. I think anybody could. That calf has shown a tremendous amount of muscle. See if he likes our first class winner as well as he did initially. Super sound rear leg on that calf. It's hard to get very in depth, like I said, from our distance at our location up here, but be interested to see how he goes through. I have in my mind what I think logically he'd like to do, but we shall see. Let's see what he has to say on this group.
A really interesting division here when we get into the middleweights, and I think there's some differences, but enough similarities in these calves. And you know, that calf that come out of the first class, when that young man gets him parked, he really gives you a good look and a good silhouette. You know, when you get him on the move, that little extra set to that leg, he'll reach and he'll tend to tip that loin just a touch, but he's sound and he gives you a great look. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to use him for our division, and I think he just puts it all together and gives you a really nice look. Then we get into a real judgment call. We got the calf that was second in that first division, and he's the most as far as type and kind. You love the way that one's built. I mean, he gives you a great look. He's awesome in through that heart girth, in through that shoulder and that transition, and the pieces are really good for the long haul on that calf. Then we've got the class winner out of the second calf. I mean, he's the muscle calf in the class. I mean, from a muscle and explosive perspective, he's got all that in spades. He maybe just doesn't flow and balance up quite as nicely in that transition from that over that top in through that heart girth through his shoulder quite as well as that calf in second. But I really like the muscle shape in this calf. But I think if we're gonna match them calves up and go as type and kind, we're gonna use the calf that was second in the first class. 50-45, you'll be our reserve division winner, and I think you balance up like our calf that we used in the division.
Gonna keep that pair together. More his type and kind. He's been consistent with that. Of the four calves out there, our second class winner was the most explosive type. Certainly carrying a tremendous amount of shape. Young man's second place coming.
Your middleweight division champion was Luke Bernice and Lane Bernice, and your reserve champion middleweight was Luke Maurer. We will see those steers back at the end of our show for the selection of your champion and reserve champion prospect steer. But at this time, we are moving into our heavyweight division. We have 6 heavyweight steers entering the ring at this time, weighing between 625 and 680 pounds.
It's funny to see how much variation you see from division to division once you get to the upper end of the weight spectrum in each class. Substantially, the calves are getting bigger in size. I think you'll see that when we bring them all back out here and for contention. Getting some real power calves in this group. Another really nice set of calves here. Like I noted earlier, I think we'll see several in our Fats show and Prospect show, but you know, used to not see that much smoke variation at these shows. Extremely popular, almost common in every class now. That's a dark smoke there in a 2-hole with a tremendous amount of muscle. Looks to be a blue roan type calf. Nice profiling calf in the number 1 hole. Got a couple nice black calves there in the middle. Seem to pattern up nice. Then we get into another Charlet appearing steer with another tremendous amount of shape in that calf. Definitely the most shape, power, and expression we have seen today. Maybe the most hair as well. Some of these calves are getting a little bit more mature, maybe been worked a little bit longer. Be anxious to get these on the profile, get a different view from them. From this distance, our calf standing there in the 5-hole right now. It's got a really nice look to him. Coming around here, getting a little fresh around the corner. Looks like he's going to have a lot to talk about in this class. I think there's a lot more variety. The hip height on calf in number 2 looks a little low, but boy, is he a stout little rascal going there. Moves really, really well. The blue steer here, up here, patterns really well. Sound hind leg. Got like maybe more of an Angus appearing steer there in the 3-hole. Easy feeding, sappy bellied one. Maybe from a judging standpoint, a little easier class to sort, but until you maybe get down through the middle, then you got to start prioritizing some things. But a lot of cattle in this class very well balanced, sound. Don't see any issues in the entire class with that. I was curious what he was going to do with that calf. He's going to move him on up the line. Interested to see the comments. I would say that's a uniquely built calf, especially from our distance. I mean, he looks extremely dense, wide-ended. But those calves have that appearance, I think, in these kind of lighting conditions. I've told people before they do really well in an indoor type situation as far as showing muscle expression. If it's too bright, I think their muscle gets washed out when you get into the Charlet appearing cattle. I've seen some examples of that maybe at county fairs when you show them in the daylight, and then into the evening they seem to take a little break here. He's about to make his decision. What I was saying is about to.
I think we got a really, really, really good one to lead off this class. I mean, this guy just really, really balances up. I mean, he's really explosive in through that hip. He's got a lot of muscle shape, really big bone, but really good in his angles. I mean, that one, he's really square at the ground. He's really good in his underline. That transition from that blade, he's really stout, but he transitions really well, gives you a great look. I think just a really, really good one that I can really gravitate to and latch onto. So congratulations, a really nice class winner. Then we get into a really neat calf here in second. And I can tell you, I've got some buddies that I went to school with. You know, they were a little shorter in stature than I was, but I can darn sure tell you they were built like him, and I wouldn't want to tussle with him. This calf is built really, really good. He's just a little moderate, so I think as he gets closer to his end dates, you're going to see he'll probably start to go down in some weight divisions, but he'll probably be the stoutest one in some of them lighter weight divisions because he's really explosive in through his muscle, really good in through that center body, built really well from his blade through his shoulder and the way he's built. Really like your calf, young lady. I just hope he just grows up a bit in stature as he goes through his weight. really nice calf here in third. You know, he fits the type and mold of our top calves. He just not as sound. He doesn't handle, not as comfortable off either end, and I'd like to change that about him, free him up and soften him up a little bit on the move, and he'll pop that tail head a bit. But he's built, he's stout, he's good looking, and gives you a really nice look when he goes out. Then we've got a really sound one and really attractive. I think as this calf progresses, if he can muscle up a little bit and get a little more explosive over the top and over his hip, I think he'll be a really good one, because he's really sound and really good looking, just needs to muscle up and power up. Likewise with the next calf, you know, he's probably got a little more width to base than the calf that just let out the class, but he doesn't handle himself quite as well on the rears as the front calf, but I'd say the same thing. He's adequately sound. He transitions well from his heart girth into that front end, and look, you just muscle and power him up. Then we've got a calf that's really easy doing, a real, you know, you'd call him a meat and potatoes commercial kind of a calf that'll be really easy feeding and really easy to get to your end date, because he's sound, really big in his middle. But likewise with the last couple calves coming in, I just explosive him up from a bone perspective and a muscle perspective, but a really good easy feeding type of calf.
Moving right along, results will show Class 5 heavyweight prospect steers. Congratulations to Allison Pajak. Second went to Sophia Barney. Third to Mason Walls. Fourth to Raylan Wright. Fifth to Colin Kroll. And sixth to Davin Boyle. Into the ring at this time is our last class of prospect steers. Class 6 includes 5 steers weighing 715 to 745 pounds. We do need all first and seconds in the makeup area at this time, including all our lightweight and middleweight champion and reserve, so we can line up for the grand selection.
Back in here on the action on our last class of the day before champion. I think maybe waiting on one more. Really a great show. I think now more than ever that I know it can be frustrating, but there's some really good cattle, even 4 and 5 down, and I mean basically every entry in this steer show has had a lot of quality. Looks like another nice class here lined up. Plenty of ring space for these individuals to get out here. They're using it all. Earlier I was watching the Shorthorn show. They had several divisions scattered about. They needed all the room for sure. Who's this exhibitor? 2208. Toby Mays, that's the calf that stands out to me from a distance. We'll get him on the profile. $53.21. Alyssa Huck. I believe that's the correct number. Another nice calf that sorts up to me pretty fast in this particular class. Now we're going to get him on the profile. Everything can change, I guess, as I've been watching through the Heifer show and into now. You can definitely get a lot of different variation of opinion from our seating position here. Once you get him to come around here, this is about the best look at him we get here is our exhibitor rounds corner where we're sitting. This is our opportunity to get a more critical look for entertainment purposes. Yeah, I would say the number 2 and number 4 whole calf there going to be going neck and neck here. Then there's a lot of variation for the rest. We are going to be switching over to a new link if you're following along. we are going to be switching into the prospect show for the Pennsylvania State Farm Show, and then we'll be moving into the market show. I will announce that again before we quit, but I just want to bring attention to that as he starts evaluating his heavyweight class. I think maybe he's made his mind up, waiting for a gentleman to get parked and evaluate a couple more. I find it interesting, judges either pull from the top or the bottom. I typically pull from the bottom. Maybe I don't have as good as an eye to judge them far enough, but it's definitely personal preference. Yep, that was a standout calf. Yep, that's what he elected to do. Got those two together. But most judges, like you'll see here, after he places these, he'll go up and evaluate them again before he calls them out. Especially if it's close, you can always change your mind once you pull them. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad if you're the one that gets swapped. I've been there. Here he comes with his reasons. He's pretty confident in his decision here. Get this calf going up out of the way. We'll be back for the heavyweight drive.
I think a really, really powerful way to start this class, and I think a calf that really comes out and balances it all up. I mean, he's really stout, really explosive, great in his bone work, but I mean, he's really, really super sound. You love all his angles off both ends. He gets out and travels really well. Great in through that chest floor, gives you a really, really good look with all that power and explosiveness, good in his underline, and I think just a really, really good one that we can latch on to. And then we get the calf that follows him the most as far as type and kind, a super, super sound one, and he really has a lot of the traits that this class winner came out with. You love the way he moves. He's good off both ends, gives you a great look, just not quite as explosive from a muscle standpoint, in through his hip, in through his lower quarter than our top calf, but one that's really, really built for the long haul, and I think he'll get there. I think a really, really good one. Then we get a calf that follows the two most in type and kind. He's got a lot of muscle in him. He's big over that top. He's explosive ended, just not quite as good looking. Doesn't transition quite as well from that heart girth in through that shoulder, in through his chest floor. He'll tend to roach up his top when he gets on the move compared to them two calves that led out in front of him. Then we've got a really sound one that gives you a really nice look, just not quite as explosive from a hip and muscle pattern perspective, but I think one that's really sound, going to be a real easy feeding type of calf for this junior. Likewise with the next calf, and he's just a little bit not wanting to be here today, but I think a good, sound, easy feeding type of steer, just not quite as attractive in through that look and doesn't give you that, that chest floor and that great neck like some of the calves above him do, but he's sound and he'll be really easy feeding.
Congratulations to our Class 6 prospect steer exhibitors. First went to Toby Mays, second to Nick Bernatowitz, third to Gracie Spearing, fourth to Raylan Wright, and fifth to Alyssa Hauk. We're now ready to select our champion and reserve champion heavyweight division winners. We are looking for Allison Pajak from Class 5, with her steer weighing in at 670 pounds. Second in that class was awarded to Sophia Barney with a steer weighing 655. From our last class, Toby Mays is coming back in, his steer weighing in at 740, and Nick is coming back in with a steer weighing 730 pounds. Again, this is our selection of our champion and reserve champion heavyweight steer. At the conclusion of this class, we will select our prospect steer champion and then our overall grand and reserve grand champion prospect beef animal.
Pretty exciting division here as we get them back out. We definitely have two type and kinds in our class winners, which have a little variation within the class.
Attention in the barn, attention in the barn. We are looking for your champion and our reserve champion prospect heifer to return to the show area for the selection of the overall prospect beef animal. Again, Ella and Devontae, please bring your prospect champion and reserve champion heifer back to the show ring at this time.
Looks like out out of our first class and second class, they could be sibs. The 1 and 2.
I think a really nice division here when we got into this heavyweight, and I think we've got a few real heaters out here that I really liked when they came into their classes, and I think, you know, when you got into this weight range and into these heavier prospects, you've seen a more degree of muscle. You know, these steers are really explosive. They got a little extra bone in them, but yet they're really built well. They give you a great look. They're good in that hard in through that top, the way that blade comes through in through that loin and in through that hip. They're really explosive there, and they're really level, but they're steers that get out and move. They're sound. They got the right angles off both ends, and I think there's a really good group in here. I think with that, there's a couple that I really gravitate to, and I think we're splitting some hairs here, but we're going to use the black half that come out of that second class to win this division. I think just he's just built so impeccable and gives you such a great look and really explosive. Then we're going to follow him up with that gray calf that won the first class. I think they are so much in type and kind. It'll be interesting to see these down the road.
Our judges made his selection. Very good set of calves there used out of that division. Getting fun to watch here as he's going to bring all these calves back out in for contention. One thing that slips away, I guess, more times than not, is how well these young people are out here showing these calves, especially here in our last few classes for calves that haven't been on the halter tremendously long. Really some high quality presentation jobs as well. You never know what is going to shake out till you get them side by side. I know a lot of times you walk the barn during the week of the show trying to see how it's going to play out in your mind, and maybe it gets a little simpler when you get them out side by side. But everybody has their ideal calf in mind and where they set their priorities. Two very high quality calves in that division. You could have made reason to go either way, I believe. Sometimes that's the hard thing about judging.
We'd like to congratulate Toby Mays on exhibiting your champion heavyweight prospect steer, and to Allison Pajak for exhibiting your reserve champion heavyweight. We are now ready to select your champion prospect steer at this time. Back into the ring, we are bringing from your lightweight division, Macy Fessler. Her steer weighed in at 455 pounds. Your middleweight champion was exhibited by Lane Bernays, weighing 550. And from our heavyweight division was Toby Mays with a steer weighing in at 740. Your reserves are as follows. KILE Lippert, steer weighs 480. From lightweights, middleweights is Luke Maurer with a steer weighing 540, and weighing in at 610 pounds is Allison Pajak. Put your hands together. We are selecting your champion prospect in reserve at this time. Oh, good. We have a crowd.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I think when we come into this champion prospect drive, you know, I'm really pleased with the group we have out here. They're sound, they're stout, they're explosive, they're big boned, they're good looking, they're really great in through that chest floor, and I think we got some really good prospects that are going to make really incredible fats, and I think that's what's really important for me. You know, I like big-ended, stout, big-boned, cool ones as much as the next guy, but they got to be really sound. You know, as these prospects, as they progress and you get them to a fat and those heavier weights, you know, you've got to have a structure and a build that's going to get them for the long haul, and I think we really have that here. So with that, I'm going to take another quick look here, and then I'm going to select a champion in reserve that I think we've got two out here that I can really latch onto and I think are really exceptional.
High quality set of calves here in this drive. You can see a lot of similarities in the ones he selected, but really good set of calves. Heavyweight calf on the end. That black calf's got an incredible build on him. Strong through his top, adequate through the middle. Walks around the ring with ease. I'm sure he's waiting on him. Very attractive calf once he gets him parked. Short decision. Really liked him. And I knew that heavyweight division was going to be the buzzsaw division, I would assume. He really liked this one as well. Maybe just a different type of build, but still all the same type of high quality explosiveness, just a different package. Yep, there's your reserve.
Your champion prospect steer was exhibited by Toby Mason, came out of your heavyweight division, as is your reserve heavyweight division winner, also your reserve overall prospect steer, exhibited by Allison Bajak. We are ready to select our champion and reserve champion beef prospect animal at this time. We'll give everybody a chance to clear the ring, and then we'll bring our heifers and our steers in the ring for this selection.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to our Highland show, which will be showing here in Ring 2 of the large arena. We are going to start this show with class number 238, Junior Heifer Calves. March in age, I show a single entry.
Gonna start the Highland show here in the other ring.
We are ready to start our heifer was exhibited by Ella Patranton. This heifer weighed in at 830 pounds. Your champion steer was exhibited by Toby Mays and weighed 740 pounds. Devontae Rarick exhibited your reserve champion prospect heifer weighing 655. And Allison Bajak exhibited your reserve champion steer, and that weighed in at 670 pounds. We are now going to select your champion and reserve champion prospect beef.
Bringing all these cattle back out here in contention. See what he has to say about
This is a really interesting class when you get in here, and you know, we do the market steers against the prospect heifers, and you kind of come through, and I think we still have a lot of similarities in type. You know, all four of these are really, really sound, and they're really good in their own right. You know, they're a little bit different, and I think that the heifer that I used to win the prospect heifer deal, I think she's got a really good future in the breeding heifer ring, to be honest. So I think she's really, really good. And then we've got two steers that I think just pattern together so well, and they're so good. You know, I'm going to keep them together. I'm going to keep our champion and reserve steers as our two supremes. But young lady, I think that heifer has a really, really good future in the breeding heifer ring.
kept the steers together.
So this will be our overall champion supreme, and the steer will be our reserve.
Well, I'm Bill Work. I'll be signing off here. Join me
Congratulations to our steer exhibitors, Toby Mays with Grand Champion Prospect Beef Animal, and your reserve overall went to Allison Pajak. Thank you very much. This does conclude our preview show. If you would like a quick backdrop picture with our judge, please head that way. We are going to start lining up our Junior Market Beef PA Farm Show preview animals. We are looking for class 1, 2, and 3 to the makeup area to be lined up.
Like I said, I'm Bill
Over
Work
here with the
We're
start of
going
our
to
Highland
be
show,
talking
single entry, a really nice calf that's
on
very
switching
sound
links.
as she gets
Is that
about the
correct? We're
ring,
gonna be switching
very
links
level
to
out
do
through her
our
rump. I
stock-
think she has
our
a great
preview
future ahead of
show
her,
for
and
the farm
we'll
show.
talk about her some more when we
Bear
get
with
in
us as we
to
now
some of
enter
the
another ring, in case I get a
champion
little
classes a
tongue-tied,
little bit
but,
later.
we'll
Really
be
nice
back
effort to
after
start
the
our show
photos
with.
with a new link to start the Pennsylvania Farm Show preview show.